don't know me, my name is Chris Westbrook. I'm the curator here. And looking at how many are here tonight, it's fantastic and wonderful to see such support. So thank you all so much for coming out on such a soggy evening, especially you football lovers out there. I'm not sure if we have any in tonight. Who's going to win, Michael?
France will possibly get it.
I don't think I'm going to argue with that, are we, Rich?
J'espère.
So, unfortunately, Hannah White is the assistant curator that's put this wonderful show together. She was taken unwell this afternoon with a terrible flu and had to go home. So I'm very sorry about that, but you are in for such a wonderful treat. She's crafted a beautiful exhibition here. And I know that she would like to thank all the illustrators who have been so generous, also you, Michael, for all the joy that you brought and the stories and the help you've given her. And she wanted me to say that it's wonderful that you've come back to Pinner. And she's so pleased.
Prodigal son.
Exactly. And how wonderful it is to see children's illustration. It's very rare to see that these days. You tend to just see the book, you don't get to see the real thing. So she really wanted to emphasise how proud and pleased she is that you've all pulled together. All the volunteers have been fantastic. And looking around you here tonight, thank you so much for joining us. So well done, Hannah. And I think at this point she would have said a few words, but instead Michael's going to say a few words for us.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm first reserve. I've been subbed on. Yeah, it's wonderful. You can't imagine what a thrill it is for me to see this and to bring all these wonderful, wonderful illustrations, my friends, comrades, and people holding my hand going through with the making of a book, to see all this in one room. For those of you who don't know, my link with Pinner is that I was born in Harrow, and my first place I was brought back as a baby was 30A Bridge Street, now above a shop called Futura or something. I forgot what it's called now. Anyway, 30A Bridge Street, and then 18 months later, round the corner to 6A Love Lane, above what is now Zaza's, just to put you in the picture. It wasn't Zaza's then, it was Norman and Butt estate agents. And my dad, who I believed everything he said, told me that Norman was the one with all the ideas. You can fill in the rest. Yeah, and I used to spend my life. There was no front door then. If you look now, 6A Love Lane's got a front door, but you used to have to go round the back between what is St Luke's Church and used to be Dwyer's the Builders, up that little alleyway and round the back. And on the ground floor, I was always peeping through to see which one was Norman and which one was and I could never be sure which one it was. And in fact, some of the poems that are in Mind Your Own Business, this very first book here, are in fact, of course, set, and also Quick Let's Get Out Here, which is here, are in fact set in that flat, which hasn't changed that much from the outside anyway, is still there. And then I went to Pinnerwood Primary first, and then in 1954 they opened West Lodge, which is just over there. I was a founder pupil at West Lodge, and we had the 70th anniversary opening of West Lodge just a few weeks ago. It was very nice to be there. So anyway, those are my roots in Pinner. I used to spend hours and hours playing football, cricket, and goodness knows what, here in this park all the time, every day. This was my play patch right here. So I have an exhibition of my stuff on what is my playground patch, and I write children's books and so on. It seems to be a perfect circle, a charmed circle somewhere or another. Just to make clear, you have two of the artists here tonight. Here is David Manning. Give everybody a wave, David. David is responsible for that leery wolf in the corner. If you go past and you feel that you're being attacked, then that's David's fault. All right. And then we also have Neil Layton here, over there. Neil, give us a wave. There's Neil Layton, and that sort of slightly bug-eyed girl and bug-eyed dog, based on me, I think. That's Neil's work, and we worked on 2 or 3 books with Neil. Indeed, David and I, we worked on 3 books together. One to come, isn't there? That's right, so 2, 1 to come.
Oh, that's exciting. When?
David will know.
Say again?
When?
I've literally started this week, so it'll be a few months yet. I think it's due out next spring.
Right, that's it. Yeah, that sounds good. So you picked up there that, writers, illustrators, do we know how these books sort of actually, sort of. People are always curious and ask me, and I think on one of the panels there's a little explanatory bit, that every writer will have a different relationship, a different way of working with artists and illustrators. My belief, from my point of view, is I have not much to do with making books. What I do is I write the words and hand them over to editors, illustrators, designers, to make the book. I don't make books, that's not what I do. I just do words. So I'm at the beginning of the belt that's going along to produce the book. At the very beginning, I provide the words. If illustrator or editor or designer comes back to me and says, well, can we shift this round? Can we change that? We want the wolf slightly bigger, or something like that. And I go, sure. And I have a go and see if it works. Maybe it does. So I'm right at this very moment working with Helen Oxenbury on another book. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. I've told you.
It's okay, we're not filming, you can tell us.
Yes, exactly. And I've come back, Helen and the editors have come back several times saying we want to move that round and could you change the rhyme? Yeah, I suppose so. And so that happens too. So that's the nearest it gets to me being involved in the actual production. So I love it that what artists do is read the text that I have provided and read it in two senses. Read it like reading it, but also their work is a reading of my words. It's an interpretation of my words in whatever way they want. I mean, really. I mean, in the sad book that Quentin did, he just did it all entirely himself, apart from one bit, and this is relevant to tonight's game. He said, what did it mean that you and Eddie played saves? I said, oh right, what we did is we had two sofas opposite each other and hurled cushions at each other and dived to save them. So, said Quentin, I had no idea what it was. So if you look at the sad book, you can see what Quentin has done is Eddie leaping and catching a cushion. And so those kinds of explanations. He also wasn't quite sure what shape a nappy was. Or quick, let's get out of here. So I gather he spoke to my ex-girlfriend, as you do. There's always connections, aren't there? Because she had just had a baby. So he found out how nappies work. So yeah, illustrators always inform themselves, don't they? That's right. Also here, by the way, we have John Hegley, the great poet. Please say hello. John, give us a wave. Right, there we go. John, who writes wonderful, wonderful poems, wonderful books, and we work with Neil. Yeah, that's right. So look out for John's work. I've also met somebody called Rosen. Right. She's pretending she's not a relative, but I believe her. So, but anyway, we've been discussing the various Rosens. So who else have I met tonight? Yes. Oh, I've met former editor. Yes, that's right. Lovely Wendy. We work together on the books behind you. That's Claire. Claire can't come. Claire Mackey, she lives in Scotland. It's a long schlep to come from Scotland. But Wendy commissioned me to write several books, and she's just to inform me tonight that one book she commissioned and I wrote and never came out. And there's a pile of poems. She said there's a pile of poems I've got. They've never come out, and I can't even remember them. So then.
What to do with the decimal point?
Exactly. I wrote a poem about what to do with the decimal. No rude answers, please. Okay, so it was good I've met Wendy, so I'll find some poems I wrote. So, there we are. Oh, and I've also met, the daughter of the man who made sure that I passed my maths O-level. So I failed miserably my mock GCSE O-level maths. And so my dad brought over this lady's father, Bill Gibby, and Bill said, there's no need to fail your maths, just do my book. And he handed me the book and said, work your way through it and then you'll pass. I worked my way through it and I passed. So there we are, that's all thanks to your father, Bill Gibby, and you are? Elizabeth, there we are, Elizabeth Gibby. So there we are, that's who I've met tonight. So there we are, that's nice, that's a good idea. Excellent. That's quite an interesting potpourri, isn't it? Lovely. So anyway, thanks ever so much for coming, and do tell everybody and anybody to come along. Particularly, it would be nice to bring children here and just to sort of pore over it and say, well, how does a book come about? How do you make a book? So you can see some spreads, which you've seen already, but you know, there's Neil's roughs for the for is it the cover you've got there, or? Yeah, that's right. So there's Neil's roughs there, and I think some roughs of yours, aren't there, David? So that's arty word, roughs, the roughs that artists make. Sometimes the publishers send me the roughs and they say, what do you think? By the way, and I always go, great, send them back. And sometimes I don't even look at them, because I really don't think it's my job. you know what I mean? I mean, it really doesn't matter. So my attitude is, yeah, no, carry on. It's designers and editors. So, you know, the replies usually comes pretty quick from me. So there we are. So that shows you how books, the process, which, you know, is to a certain extent, it's not exactly secret, but it's kind of not revealed when you pick up a book. It's like sort of the underneath of a car, isn't it? Or the works in a car. You don't quite know how they came about. So it'd be nice to bring children, particularly teenagers interested in art and wondering which way to go in their lives and so on. They could see the job of an illustrator, see what work that it is. There we are. That's it.
Thank you very much. And you'll see, actually, it's all hung for younger people. So
yes,
Hannah's put a lot of thought into this. It's very well crafted. Please do bring as many people. It's such a joyous thing to have you. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Michael, and the illustrators.
Thank you.